especially
Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
Cantor.
Shabbat Shalom.
I did it. I should get a prize for being just a technological genius, but I overheard everyone here talking about what's coming up, a refuah shlema. I believe it was to you, Debbie, for a little bit of a trip, but maybe we'll find as we move forward into spring that healing will come quickly for all of us, for each and every one of us as individuals, and obviously for our country and all that. So a refuah shlema to you and to all of us as we enter into this season of spring. So we can all say amen to that. Passover is here. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? 2 weeks from tomorrow night is the first night of Seder. And as I already heard you guys discussing, it is such an important holiday that we all get to share together. And that's why you do hear people making plans to on some level be together. And it's just so encouraging that many people in our community signed up for our communal Seder, for the second Seder on Sunday, so that there's just lots of opportunities. And many of us have mastered Zoom, isn't that right? So there's ways to do that as well. And the truth of the matter is we've really developed a strong presence for our Friday evening Shabbat and our Saturday services as well online. So we will continue that. And I hope you all are aware and saw in our blast upcoming, and there will be more information on that. On April 17th, we are opening up for Saturday morning services. So there's so much exciting stuff as we enter into this month of Nisan, the months of Passover, the month of spring, tomorrow night. So join us tomorrow night, obviously, for Havdalah as we enter into a new month. Can't believe it, we're already here. So why don't we all wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. I will
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
And daylight saving time.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, yeah.
Boo. Shabbat Shalom.
So everyone is muted now. Don't take it personal if I cut you off. My apologies. Cantor, if you could unmute. And we, as always, will start off our service with Shalom Aleichem, just a really important prayer as we welcome each other, welcome the Sabbath in. Nothing is done without an invite, and it is important for us to be able to invite the Sabbath in, to allow a little bit of space for Shabbos to come in. Shalom Aleichem.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We continue the theme of invitation on page 38 with Lecha Dodi, where we truly do Ligrat Shabbat, to welcome the Sabbath, making space for the Sabbath to come in. Let's take a moment as we think and as we sing this beautiful, beautiful prayer together in our hearts, allowing a little moment, a little space for Shabbat.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad. Hishmi'anu el ha'meuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem ol tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. Bohi v'shalom ateret ba'ala. Gam besimcha u'b'sachala. Tochemunei am segula. Bohi chala, bohi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela.
On page 50, Ma'ariv Aravim, praised are you, God, King of the universe, who, by God's words, two ways in which to approach the world. With wisdom, God opens gates, and with understanding, alters the periods in which we are. With wisdom, of course, is really not just Chokhmah. Chokhmah is larger than just this idea of wisdom. It is something that is going to happen in the world, and we just need to open our eyes to it. There is so much wisdom in this world that we are missing, and the reason this prayer comes every night, and certainly on Shabbos, to help us with our wisdom of being aware of what is happening. If you had a chance to look at the sunset tonight and truly appreciate the wisdom that is creation, this is exactly what this prayer is talking about. Ma'ariv Aravim.
El Chai v'Kayam Tamidim lo chalenu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ma'ariv Aravim.
With an eternal love, you have loved the house of Israel, your nation, your Torah, commandments, decrees, and ordinance have you taught us.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amchavta Torah u'mitzvot hukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu v'kumeinu nasiach behukecha v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla ki hem chayenu ve'orech yamenu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla ki hem chayenu ve'orech yamenu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla ki hem chayenu ve'orech yamenu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha V'chol nafshecha U'v'chol me'odecha V'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh Asher anochi Metzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'shachbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha.
And God spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them that they are to make themselves tzitzit on the corners of their garments throughout the generation, and they're to place upon the tzitzit of each corner a thread of blue, and it shall constitute tzitzit for you, that you may see it and remember all the commandments of the Lord and perform them, and not explore after your heart and after your eyes, which you stray, so that you may remember and perform all of the commandments and be holy to God. I am the Lord your God, who has removed you from the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God. It is truth.
Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lahem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem emet.
We now take a moment as we really enter in, and there's a tradition that we ought not pause in between Vishamru and the Shemona Esrei, which we will enter into shortly. Why is it that there is no pause? Because there was not a pause actually when we received this commandment and the execution of it. In other words, we shouldn't delay. When we are asked to do something, let's get it done. How many of us, when we're maybe asked to do something or we suggest something to do to ourselves, for ourselves, that we'll say, maybe I'll make time tomorrow. It's always a reminder for us that when asked or when something is in front of us, do it as soon as we possibly can. Let us not wait. And this is when we are commanded to observe the Sabbath. Let's jump into it and experience it in its fullest. Vishamru.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, Asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam.
We now turn our attention to the silent Amida on page 68, the Shemona Esrei for the Sabbath. The cantor has, over the course of the past several months, guided us in a little bit of meditation. It is important for us to pause and reflect before we enter into prayer. That I know I said we just 2 seconds ago, and I will always contradict myself. That is one thing I will say I will always do, that we should pause and tarry for a moment, but then as we're doing that, we should pause again and delay just a moment in preparation for the prayer. It is always a balance of moving forward and moving back in prayer so that we can hit that right balance and really make the movement as important as it is.
Adonai safatai tiftachu fi agitehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory.
Establish abundant peace upon your people Israel forever, for you are the master of all peace. May it be in your eyes to bless your people in Israel at every time and every hour with your peace. And praised are you, the Lord, our God, who has blessed his people Israel with peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'b'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Yasher Koach to you, Cantor. It is now the time in our service where we offer prayers for those who are in need of healing spiritually or mentally or even physically, that we offer those names for our community and for prayers so that we come together and move. I believe, I don't say this often enough, but I do believe our prayers matter, and that when we speak out the words that are in the Mishaberach, they do move not just God, but move each other to help others in their time of need. So what we have done is we've placed the names of those who are in need in our chat so that others in this community can see who is in need. So Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avoteinu Makor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu, makor habracha labotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
May God send a refuah shlema, refuah nefesh, a refuah guf, a complete healing of mind and body for those who are in need, and let us all say, Amen. So Shabbat Shalom. What a just a moving Shabbat this is going to be. Nisan 1 is on Sunday. We know we start counting our calendar in this month. We all know that there are many New Years in the Jewish tradition. This is the New Year's of New Year's. In other words, this is the beginning of the people of Israel, that we count our months from this. This spring holiday that is coming is really the beginning of the Jewish people as we enter into becoming a nation. How exciting is that? That is something that is lasted for many, many centuries. And for any Jew that I've had a conversation with, isn't it oftentimes that history, that sense of nation that really binds us? You'll often hear over the course of the next couple of weeks what we heard even before we started services, the importance of coming together. There is something so unique about the Jewish people in that they come together in this way, not just about as individuals coming together, but individuals coming together in theme, with the idea of joy this past month and an idea of freedom in this month, moving from this idea of slavery to freedom. I wanted to just take one aspect of this time period and really focus on what we can do as we enter into this new year. It's really interesting how at new points in the year we look forward, and this is certainly a time in which many of us are looking forward. Many of us who have gotten our vaccines, many of us are looking as the synagogue is reopening, schools are reopening, restaurants are reopening, movie theaters are reopening. And just a year ago, we were talking about how synagogues were closing, schools were closing, movie theaters were closing, restaurants were closing. This is truly the beginning of us looking forward in a new and unique way. How exciting is that? You can feel it in the air. You can feel it in the conversation. So what is unique about this week's Torah portion that discusses some of this? There comes a time, and we all are aware of this, where every single person is needed. You're all needed. This week's Torah portion picks up right after the biggest division in the Jewish community, after the golden calf. Could you imagine a time, and we talked about this at Torah study, could you imagine a time in which a nation is split, where they don't agree on things, where they actually can't even speak one way without the other taking it the wrong way, or the other says one thing and the other takes it the other way? This was a time in which the Israelites were experiencing right after the golden calf. They were split. They were split. And Moses had to lead at that time. Imagine being a leader at a time in which a nation is completely split. Very, very challenging. He had to lead at that point, though. And a proclamation was made in regard to the temple, or the building of the Mishkan. Moses said, "Vayavo'u kol ish asher nesa'o libo, v'chol asher nadva rucho oto." And everyone who excelled in ability and everyone whose spirit moved him came to bring to the Lord his offering for the work of the tent. There comes a time when everyone is needed. Oftentimes when I felt that I was needed, I was waiting for somebody to choose me. I was waiting for somebody to call me and tell me exactly what I needed to do. There's such hubris and arrogance in that, waiting for somebody to tell me what to do. It's like the kid that doesn't raise his hand in class and offer the answer and says, well, I knew that. I wish you would have called on me. I would have been able to answer it. What this is saying, that everybody who is so moved needs to stand up and let everyone know what you are capable of doing. That's the proclamation. That's how we bring people together. That's how we create freedom. That's how you unite a people. Everyone steps up and offers what they have to. The minute that we wait for others to pick on us or choose us to lead is when we are really lost. We are not, I should say, looking for the outside. We are looking to the inside for us to be so inspired or just moved to do it. When we find that and are lifted up, then we can meet the needs of those around us. We look inside. What do you have to bring? Look deep inside. What is it unique that you have to bring to our community at Congregation Beth Shalom, Valencia, Santa Clarita, United States? What unique thing do you want to build? What ways do you want to add to the conversation, not take away from it? In which ways do you want to elevate the community? And ultimately, the choice is yours. And this is specifically what Moses requested. Whoever so is moved to do that can truly bring healing and love to a community that at times was very, very split. Let us focus. Let us find ways in which we can add to the conversation, add to the stream of life, and truly build an exciting and new vision for Nisan 1, the beginning of this new year. Shabbat Shalom. We now continue our service, or begin concluding. I always say this, is that Jewish service always the ending is always so long, is it not, Cantor? At times it takes very long to conclude, but we've gotten pretty good at it. And so we conclude this part of our service with Aleinu on page 118.
Please rise. Rabbi, it takes as long as it's supposed to take.
That's a very Jewish answer, is it not?
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shalo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shalo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, Umistachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim ve'oser haaretz umoshav yikaro b'shamayim ha'al ushchinatu zo begavhei meromim Hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efes zulato, kakatu betorato, v'yadata hayom, v'hashevota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, ashtamayim imhal, Ve'al haaretz mitachat ein od.
For the kingdom is yours, and you will reign for all eternity in glory, as it is written in your Torah. God shall reign for all eternity, and it is said, God will be king over all the world. On that day, God will be one, and God's name will be one.
Kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, v'nehemar, v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. Ushemo echad.
Yes, those who are mourning or observing yahrzeit remain standing for the mourners Kaddish and this week's yahrzeits. Lee Bond, uncle of Alan Bond, Louis Hamas, husband of Eileen Hamas, Randy Reed, brother of Rebecca Reed, Dorothy Kingston, mother-in-law of Don Like, Abraham Lieberstein, grandfather of Susan Reed, Stacy Newman, niece of Jay Bloom, Celia Weintraub, grandmother of Beth Neff, Brendan Keenan, mother of Susan Bennett, Abram Lubitz, grandfather of Alan Bond, David Washburn, father of Rosalie Asarch, Alice Meeson, mother of Elizabeth Yost, Rose Cohen Levine, grandmother of Nancy Siegel. The mourners Kaddish can be found on page 124. Together, Yitgadal v'Yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, ve'Alma Divra Chirutei ve'Amlich Malchutei, v'Chayechon u'Vyomechon u'Chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, Bagala Bizman Kariv Imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Varach Leolam U'Me'omaya, Yitbarach v'Yishtabach v'Yitpa'ar v'Yitramam v'Yitnaseh, v'Yitadar v'Yitaleh v'Yitalal Shemei Dekudsha Brichu. Le'ela Mikol Birchata v'Shirata, Tushbechata v'Nechamata, Da'amiram be'alma v'Imru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya, L'chaim Aleinu v'Kol Yisrael v'Imru, Amen. Say Shalom bin Romav, Huya Asay Shalom, Aleinu v'Kol Yisrael v'Imru, Amen. God, who makes harmony and peace in the heights, grant us harmony and peace here for us, for all Israel and all humankind, and let us all say, Amen. I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and join us tomorrow for our Facebook services at 10 a.m. And then tomorrow we will have Havdalah. It's been great to see so many of you sharing Havdalah with us over the past couple weeks. More and more have been joining, and it's been a lot of fun. And this week is at 6:45 in this very Zoom room. And then, as was pointed out earlier, it is setting the clocks ahead. Yeah, spring forward, fall back. So we, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, right? It's not a problem. It's possibility, great possibilities. The sun will be up much later over the course of the next several months, which means Havdalah will be later. And so that will be wonderful as well. So just be aware of that. But tomorrow is the last time it will be at 6:45 for a year. So in any event, we conclude our service with obviously a Shabbat Shalom to each and every one of you. And Yasher Koach to you, Cantor, for leading us. And we will end with Kiddush. And let me just get a page number on that for us. Kiddush can be found on page 118. I'm going to do a little different version because I haven't had a chance. I'm doing, usually I use this Kiddush that I use at the shul. Or at home, I use it for the Kiddush. This is going to be just a little different, so just bear with me. I'm going to add just one more pasuk or paragraph.
What page did you say?
118, is that correct?
No, I have Elena for 118.
So it's a different page. Maybe try 90. That's from memory, so I still got it. 90. Try 90, I think.
It is 90.
Okay. Vayehi erev vayevoker yom hashishi, vayachulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzeva'am, vayachol Elohim bayom hashvi'i melechto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melechto asher asa, vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i, vayikadesh oto, ki vo shavat mikol melechto asher bara Elohim la'asot savri chaverai l'chaim, baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hagafen, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'avav ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. Amen. L'chaim, Shabbat Shalom, L'kulam. Everyone unmute and wish each other a good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.